Hello everyone, welcome back to the World Conflict Monitor channel. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the latest updates on the ongoing war and the massive shifts that are changing the battlefield every single day. Today, we're diving deep into what many are calling a death trap in Kupiansk, where Russia's modern tank convoy was completely wiped out by Ukraine's drones. This shocking event is not just another battle report. It's a window into the transformation of modern warfare, where small machines in the sky can turn billion-dollar investments into smoking ruins. Let's begin with the exterior of this story, because on the surface, what unfolded in Kupiansk looks like a scene from a war documentary but is happening right now in real life. Russia assembled a convoy of some of its most advanced tanks, armored vehicles, and support trucks, lined up with the intention of reinforcing their positions near Kupiansk. These machines, designed with steel armor, reactive plating, and massive firepower, looked almost invincible when photographed or filmed from afar. They carried an aura of power, a message from Moscow that the offensive was alive and that Ukraine would be crushed under the weight of this armored spearhead. The convoy's exterior appearance reflected decades of investment in Russia's armored warfare tradition. Big guns, heavy armor, and columns moving in formation, echoing the Soviet doctrine of overwhelming firepower. But the reality is that appearance can be deceiving, and these exteriors became easy targets under the electronic eyes of Ukrainian drones circling above. When we step briefly into the interior, the picture changes drastically. Inside these modern Russian tanks, the crew members operated in a confined steel shell. The cockpit space, while equipped with digital systems, thermal imagers, and targeting modules, remained tight and suffocating. The crew relied on each other's coordination, and in theory, they were supposed to feel protected by layers of armor around them. But when drones pierced through the roof or dropped explosive charges into their weakest points, the so-called shield of protection turned into a trap. The short interior view highlights how the very place that promised safety for Russian soldiers became their tomb in Kupiansk. Now let's talk performance. On paper, Russian modern tanks boast significant battlefield capabilities. They are supposed to maneuver quickly, fire with precision, and survive against enemy artillery. But performance is not about the machine alone, it's about how it responds to the actual threats of the battlefield. And in Kupiansk, the performance of these tanks collapsed entirely. Drones hovering silently above marked targets and delivered precise hits. Tanks that were meant to advance were immobilized, their engines destroyed, turrets blown off, and armored sides pierced. The speed and agility of Russia's so-called cutting-edge machines meant nothing when the enemy wasn't fighting them head-on but attacking from above. Performance here was measured in survival, and the Russian convoy failed miserably. What should have been a display of strength became an exhibition of vulnerability. Safety features were meant to protect Russian crews, but the events in Kupiansk revealed how outdated those systems are in drone warfare. These tanks were equipped with reactive armor designed to deflect anti-tank missiles and protective systems intended to jam laser-guided weapons. But none of those safety measures were designed to counter the new threat of small, nimble drones dropping explosives with surgical precision. The weakest points of the tanks, the thin roof, the exposed engine deck, the hatches, became the entry doors of destruction. Instead of safety, the design exposed the soldiers inside to instant death once the drones got into position. Safety features that once gave Russia confidence turned into glaring weaknesses that Ukraine exploited ruthlessly. If we consider unique selling points, Russia had marketed these modern tanks as the pride of its military industry. Their selling point was power, intimidation, and the ability to dominate ground battles. They were supposed to be a symbol of Russian superiority, an export product to show potential buyers around the world. But what Ukraine demonstrated in Kupiansk turned those unique selling points upside down. The intimidation factor evaporated when burning wrecks littered the field. The power of the convoy was irrelevant when it couldn't defend against the cheapest weapon in Ukraine's arsenal. Instead of selling strength, the images of Kupiansk sold weakness. Potential buyers watching from abroad saw not invincibility but liability. A tank that costs millions destroyed by a drone that costs thousands is not a good investment, it's a humiliation on the battlefield and in the global arms market. When it comes to price, the disparity is staggering. A single modern Russian tank can cost between $2 million to $4 million depending on the model and modifications. The Convoy in Kupiansk represented hundreds of millions of dollars in military hardware. Yet the drones Ukraine used to annihilate them are often improvised, low-cost, and mass-produced. Some cost just a few $1,000s, others are even cheaper when made with commercial parts. The price comparison is devastating. Russia poured treasure into these armored beasts, and Ukraine turned them into scrap with a fraction of the expense. The so-called death trap wasn't only physical, it was financial, revealing that Russia's expensive investments are bleeding out against an enemy that masters cost-effective innovation. In conclusion, the events in Kupiansk are more than a single battlefield episode. They represent a turning point in modern warfare where drones, precision, and adaptability outweigh heavy armor, brute force, and outdated doctrine. Russia's Convoy was supposed to break through Ukrainian defenses but instead became an example of how not to fight in the 21st century. Ukraine's success demonstrates that intelligence, creativity, and small-scale innovation can overpower wealth and traditional military strength. For Russia, the lesson is bitter. The tanks that once symbolized invincibility are now death traps under the eyes of drones. For Ukraine, the victory is symbolic and strategic, giving hope that David still has the tools to defeat Goliath in the age of drones. And for the world, Kupiansk is a reminder that the future of war has already arrived, and it belongs to those who adapt the fastest, not those who spend the most.